There are times when you deserve more than a coffee break. So make a cup of Mellow Birds. You'll find its smooth, mellow flavor turns an ordinary coffee break into a mellow moment. Mellow Birds for mellow moments.
Every day should have some.
It really does have a smooth, mellow flavour as well. Do you know, not everybody watches this show drinking a cup of Mellow Birds. Some people prefer other coffee brands. Some people prefer cold drinks. Some people just drink water. Some people don't drink anything at all. Why don't you let me know what your preferred beverage is in the comments or in the live chat? All right. Well, let me take another sip. And let's see what's on the box today.
Yes, here we are, back up in the office now, over here tonight, and it's all going busy. It's all phoning in, if you're phoning in, you see, it's all happening here. There's all these little lights, no, they're ones on air, and there's all these little lights coming in, as we speak. Britain's only late-night live TV show. I don't think there's anything else going out at this time of night that is live. Now, Wales Mail. Thank you for all the letters. We need lots more coming in. If you have a couple of weeks' time, I'll just mention this before we get into it.
Now, a little bit of AA law, friends. James Whale really was my gateway into thinking about politics properly, because I used to listen to his radio show pretty much every night for many years. I'd also listen to Ian Collins and the Creatures of the Night, and sometimes it was Mike Dickin. Those were the three shows I used to listen to on the regular, and even back then, I was drawn to some of Mr. Whale's less liberal ideas. Like, for example, I remember he used to talk about how he believed that there should be that most people in the country should not be able to breed at will. There should be some sort of license for having the responsibility of bringing up a child. Now, I can imagine a lot of you wouldn't like that idea, but you can kind of see why this sort of hardcoreness would appeal to me. This is AMLO, so I don't want to get too much into politics, but unfortunately, in more recent years, Mr. Whale has not proven to be as based, you might say, as he might have been. But anyway, let's carry on. I used to watch this show on occasion as well. I was a little bit young when this went out, but I do remember it being on.
We're doing a program on therapy, and we have a sex therapist in the studio. And if you do have, I mean, I know most of the audience tonight have, down there, sexual problems. If you have any sort of problems you think a sex therapist may be able to help with, put them down and send them to us. We'll give you the address in a few minutes. You see, this is rather nice. I'm going to give this away as a prize tonight. If it...
Oh, no. I don't like the direction this is going in. Calling an audible. We're going to watch something else. I refuse to have this filth mucking up Mellow Moments. That was not mellow, Mr. Whale. Not mellow. Let's put something else on. Here we go.
This is the village where Mats is fun. This is the village where Mats is done. Look for the people that you will meet every time you see them walking down the street. These are the houses and they are known, each by a number all its own. Along to the school gate and back again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Count all the places that you will see. Listen to the stories that there will be. Here in the village where we've begun to find out Mats is fun. Mats is fun. Hello.
Find it interesting the extent to which the village kind of dominates the English and indeed the British imagination. This whole idea of the cozy little village with a couple of shops and the marketplace really does occur again and again and again. A very large part of the national imagination, I think. But anyway, hello, Leslie Judd. Let's see how you're going to teach us maths.
I wonder how many people shall we meet in the village today? I can see Mrs. Wells, the crossing lady. Can you? So now there are 5 people in the village, and our number today will be the number 5. So let's begin with a song all about 5.
5 fat frogs sitting on the shore. One swam to the lily pad, leaving only 4. 4 fat frogs, happy as can be. One.
That's you, isn't it, listener? 4 fat frogs all sitting there together with your Mellow Birds watching this. Many of my friends call themselves frogs. Do you call yourself a frog?
Said, I'll join my friend, and then there were 3. 3 fat frogs thinking what to do. One said, I'm going to dive, and then there were 2. 2 fat frogs having lots of fun. One slipped into the pond, and then there was 1. 1 fat frog, feeling all alone, went to the lily pad, and then there were none. 5 fat frogs, wondering where to go. Will they all swim back again? I don't know.
I've never seen 5 fat frogs all together, have you?
Yes, every time I go to one of the events. What do we think about Leslie Judd? She's maybe a little bit old for me, and I'm not sure about her hair. But what is this kind of clothing that she's got? It's kind of a safari chic in a way. What is this? What is this clothing? I don't mind this styling that she's got. Although she could be a feminist, couldn't she? Let's face it. She's still. Let's carry on. I'll think about it.
But I've never seen a thin frog either. And I've certainly never seen a thin garden gnome. They're always round and happy looking. Well, nearly always. Our story today is all about them, and it's called 5 Garden Gnomes. Mrs. Wells, the crossing lady, was walking to the market when she met Kate and Ben. Hello, she said. Would you like to help me choose something for my garden? Oh, yes, please, said Kate. What are you going to buy? I'm going to buy some gnomes, she said. Real?
You know what? I said she's a bit old for me. She's literally, in this video, 42 years old. I'm 41 years old. My gosh. So she's actually literally my age. No longer too young for me. Oh, well. All right then, Leslie, if you insist.
Gnomes? Asked Ben. No, laughed Mrs. Wells. Plastic ones. So they went to the stall which sold all kinds of things for gardens. Spades, forks, buckets, and many other things. Then Kate and Ben saw just what Mrs. Wells was looking for. Look, cried Ben, garden gnomes all standing in a row. Kate counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only need 4, said Mrs. Wells. The man at the stall asked Mrs. Wells which 4 she would like. Which do you think I should buy? She asked Kate and Ben. Well, said Kate, 4 of them have nice bright red suits and bright blue hats. And the other one has a dark green suit and a dark green hat, said Ben. And the 4 with the bright suits have smiling faces, said Kate. Mrs. Wells looked at them. 4 of the gnomes did have smiling faces. And the other one looks very sad, said.
Not sure if I trust the one in green. He's sad. He might bring team morale down. He could start preaching communism. I mean, you just don't know with these green gnomes. Wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Ben. I will buy those 4 gnomes with the bright clothes and the smiling faces, please, said Mrs. Wells to the man.
Excellent decision. Excellent decision.
So he put the 4 smiling gnomes into a box. But Kate and Ben didn't notice. They were still looking at the sad gnome. It seems a pity to leave that one all by himself, said Kate.
Don't do it. He's going to ruin the entire garden. I'm telling you, he'll start organising into a union.
It will make him even more sad. But I only need 4, said Mrs. Wells. 2 for each side of my garden path. They'll look very smart. Kate and Ben agreed. Anyway, said Mrs. Wells, I only have enough money to buy 4 of them. Perhaps someone else will buy the other one. I don't think so, said the man. That one has been on my stall for a long, long time. Nobody seems to want him. Poor little gnome, said Kate and Ben.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give in. Come on, woman, put your foot down.
They felt sad. Mrs. Wells felt sad. So the man at the stall said, as you've bought 4 of them, I will give you the other one free. Anyway, it makes me feel sad just looking at it all there by itself. Mrs. Wells thanked him, and Kate helped her carry the box of 4 gnomes back to her house. Ben carried the sad gnome.
Oh, it's a mistake.
Where will you put this
It's a mistake.
one? He asked. I have a good idea, said Mrs. Wells. Come around tomorrow and you'll see. So, the next day, Kate and Ben found Mrs. Wells in her front garden. How do you like my gnomes? She asked. Kate and Ben counted. 2 on the left of the path. 2 on the right. They do look smart, said Kate. They are the 4 smiling gnomes with shiny red suits and shiny blue hats, said Ben. That's right, said Mrs. Wells. Kate and Ben looked at each other. You're wondering where the sad gnome has gone, she said. Don't worry. Look up there. And she pointed to a shelf over her front door. There was a garden gnome. But that one has a shiny red suit and a shiny blue hat. And he's smiling, said Ben. That can't be the same gnome, said Kate. It is, said Mrs. Wells. I painted him last night. I gave him a red suit and a blue hat like the others. Did you paint a smile on his face? Asked Kate. No, said Mrs. Wells. That appeared when I put him up there in the middle, looking over the whole garden.
Telling you now, he's going to start agitating. He's going to start arguing for other gnomes to start coming in. You know, this is how it starts, you see. A little bit of compassion shown. This gnome is going to ruin that garden. Telling you now. Sorry to ruin everybody's mellowness, but come on.
Wasn't it lucky that Mrs. Wells had found just the right spot for the unhappy gnome on the shelf above her front door? And she liked everything to look neat and tidy, and so it did, with 2 gnomes on the left of the path and 2 gnomes on the right.
All right, Leslie, if you insist. I know a nice little place down Goodge Street. You come down there with me, girl, and we'll have a good night. Yeah? She's probably dead now. Where is she? Let's have a look.
Well, I'm just going to put the finishing touches to the face of my gnome here. And he's a happy gnome with a big smile. There's his nose. That's the difficult bit.
She's still with us, apparently. She is 77 years old, and actually, this is one of the last shows that she did. She actually retired. Obviously, it's always 1991 on Mellow Moments. This show was originally recorded in 1988, but it was probably repeated in 1991 for us to be watching it here. But yes, she. Why did she suddenly stop presenting at the age of 42? She left Blue Peter. She interviewed Margaret Thatcher on Blue Peter, apparently. She was an announcer, a continuity announcer on Southern Television. It says in 1992, she presented a daytime interview program on Channel 4 called Time to Talk. So she did make it. She did make it into the 90s, just about. But she moved to France, basically, and was employed as a conference organizer, a job that I once did, actually, myself. I was a conference producer at one point in my long and storied career. But she always declined. She didn't want to take part in Blue Peter reunions. She felt her television career was no longer part of her life, and so on. And she did appear in 2008 for the 50th birthday commemorations. So there we are. That's a little bit about Judd there.
And I think he's got smiling eyes too. I think he's the happiest gnome of all because he's got the red coat. In fact, all my gnomes are happy gnomes. 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happy gnomes on top of the wall. But they're all in a straight line, and it's not very exciting. I think I'm going to try 2 gnomes in front of the wall and 3 gnomes on top of the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happy gnomes. Now, they look a bit untidy like that. Perhaps I'll try another way. I'll try 4 gnomes in front of the wall and 1 gnome on top of the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happy gnomes. They may be happy, but I'm not. I know what's wrong. It's him, Mr. Redcoat. He should be on top of the wall by himself. Now let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They love the idea of the 4 low and the 1 high. I mean, I guess they're reinforcing hierarchy, so it can't be that bad.
5 happy gnomes. And I'm happy too. See you again.
Well, if you're happy, Leslie, I'm happy. And I hope you at home are happy watching this show. All right. Join me again tomorrow for another Mellow Moments.
There are times when you deserve more than a coffee break. So make a cup of Mellow Birds. You'll find its smooth, mellow flavor turns an ordinary coffee break into a mellow moment. Mellow Birds for mellow moments.
Every day should have some.